All right, so today we're going to talk about temperature and pressure conversions. We've done quite a few conversions already, but we're going to have to do it with yet another thing. Standard temperature and pressure is represented with something called STP. You're going to see this in a lot of your problems. And it means that we are referring to something when it's at the standard temperature and pressure. Standard temperature and pressure mean at sea level as far as pressure goes, and temperature is your freezing temperature. So there's a few different units that we're going to have to know to convert between. Let's talk about our temperatures first. So for temperature, we are not doing anything in Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit is not something that is used in science, so we're going to stay away from that. Instead, we'll be using two different conversions, or two different types of units for temperature. The types of units that we can use for temperature are degrees Celsius and Kelvin. Degrees Celsius I know you've seen before. Kelvin may be new to some of you. Kelvin is spelled Kelvin and is represented with a capital K. It does not use a degree sign like Celsius and Fahrenheit do. Now, standard temperature for Celsius is 0 degrees Celsius, and standard temperature for Kelvin is 273 Kelvin. Now, in order to convert between these two, we add. So that means that 0 degrees Celsius is equal to 273 Kelvin. So say, for instance, I told you that something was occurring at 5 degrees Celsius, and I wanted to know what that was in Kelvin. The way that I would do this is add 273, and that would give me our Kelvin number. So if you add 5 to 273, you should get 278 Kelvin, and that would be the temperature that we're working at. Now, say if I gave you something in Kelvin and I asked for it in Celsius. We say I gave you, 298 Kelvin, all right? And I wanted it in degrees Celsius. We would then subtract 273 Kelvin. So what we would do is do 298 minus 273, and that would give me 25 degrees Celsius. So converting between temperatures is just a matter of addition and subtraction. Now, if you forget these numbers, it's in your reference packet. So on your chemistry reference tables, it says standard temperature. So it says 0 degrees Celsius or 273 Kelvin. So these numbers are here for you. If you forget how to convert between the two, if you open up your reference packet to the equation sheet, which I can't seem to find. Oh, here it is. The formula sheet, this second equation tells us that Kelvin is equal to our degrees Celsius plus 273. So that's how you convert between the two. So all this information is in your reference packet for you. Now let's look at standard pressure. Standard pressure is probably something new for you. You probably haven't heard of too many pressure units, so let's go through them, or at least the ones that we're concerned about. The ones that we're concerned about are atmospheres, that we talk about, we'll label ATM. We'll talk about kilopascals. We will talk about millimeters of mercury, and we will talk about torr. There are many other units of pressure, but these are the four most important ones, at least for this course. So these are the ones that we have to be able to convert between. So our standard pressure is at 1.00 atm. Now again, our standard pressures are talking about when we are at sea level. That's what this represents. Our standard pressure, if we're talking about in units of kilopascals, is 101.3 kilopascals. Millimeters of mercury is 760 millimeters of mercury is at sea level, and torr actually uses the same number. So this is all of our units at sea level. Now, if we want to convert between them, we have to use our conversion factors like we've been using all year. So let's see how this would work. If in a problem I give you 2 units, I give you a unit of pressure in kilopascals, but then ask you to solve for something in atmospheres. We have to know how to do that, and that's using our different standard pressures, because these are all equal to one another. So, for instance, let's say I gave you 213 kilopascals, and I asked you to solve for this pressure in units of atmospheres. So I want to set up a conversion factor. Just like we've been doing, whatever unit is here, we have to put on the bottom right, because this is like a division sign and they're going to cross out. If I'm trying to get to atmospheres, that's what I put on top. Now I just look at my standard pressures since these are all equal to one another. Our standard pressure for atmosphere is 1.00 atm. Our standard pressure for kilopascals is 101.3. So now I multiply what's on top, divide through what's on bottom, and that will give me a pressure of 2.10 atm. Let's try another one. Let's say I am giving you 849 millimeters of mercury, and the question is asking for units of kilopascals. Okay. So I know that I need to get out of units of millimeters of mercury, and that's what I'm going to put on the bottom. And the question is asking me for kilopascals, so that's what I'm putting on top. Again, the numbers that go in front of them are the standard pressures for that unit. So kilopascals is 101.3, and millimeters of mercury is 760. So I multiply these two on top and then divide by what's on bottom. The answer that I got was 113 kilopascals. This is how we're going to be doing unit conversions for pressure. Now, again, in our reference packet, we have all of our standard pressures listed. They're actually right above the standard temperatures. So the standard pressure, we have atmospheres, kilopascals, millimeters of mercury, and torr. So you don't necessarily have to remember them, but you're going to be using them so often that you probably will.